You've done it again. You are standing directly in front of someone you've met 4 times, and their name is just gone. Not hovering on your tongue, not hiding in the back of your throat. It is simply absent, cleanly deleted, as if the file was never saved to the hard drive in the first place. You know their face. You know they have a sister in Chicago and a borderline obsession with vintage watches. You remember the exact curve of their smile when they're lying. But the label, the 4-letter sequence that identifies them in a database, total system failure. Then comes the theater, the next 12 seconds of pure improvised social acting. You angle your body toward a third person, desperately hoping they'll initiate the introduction for you. You pray for a sudden distraction, a phone ringing, a glass breaking, a small seismic event, anything to avoid the crushing weight of admitting that the person standing 3 feet away is a ghost in your database. You feel like a fraud. You feel like a glitch in the social matrix. The world calls this rude. They call it careless. They say if you truly cared about people, you would hold their name like a sacred relic. But the architect knows better. Chronic name forgetting is not a sign of low intelligence or a lack of empathy. It is a sign of a highly aggressive meaning filter. Your brain isn't broken. It's just ruthlessly efficient. It refuses to babysit low signal data while the world is screaming for your attention. The cognitive chaos, the 6-ball juggle. Think about the moment you meet someone new. To an outsider, it's a simple handshake. To your brain, it's a massive, multi-threaded simulation. You are running facial geometry to check for threats. You are decoding tone and micro-expressions to gauge sincerity. You are calculating social hierarchy and wondering if this person is an asset or a liability. You are managing your own posture, your own scent, your own social script. In the middle of this high-speed cognitive storm, they hand you a single, arbitrary sound. Hi, I'm Kevin. Kevin means nothing. To your prefrontal cortex, it is a rootless, isolated data point with zero context. It doesn't trigger an image of a mountain. It doesn't smell like rain. It doesn't connect to a survival instinct. It is just a sound floating in a brain that is far too busy trying to keep the social persona from collapsing. This is the Baker-Baker paradox. In 1987, researchers proved that if you tell someone a man is a baker by trade, they remember it. If you tell them his name is Mr. Baker, they forget it. Why? Because a profession has texture. A baker implies flour on the hands, the smell of warm yeast, early mornings, and physical labor. It creates a web of association. But a name is semantically empty. Your brain, an efficient machine, preferentially holds on to what has weight. Names are the order of service at a funeral. The printed text no one looks at. The person is the experience. Your brain chooses the experience every single time. The next in-line effect. Let's be honest with the data. Most chronic name forgetters aren't arrogant or above it all. They are hyper-vigilant. They are preoccupied with the mechanics of the interaction itself. While the other person is speaking, you aren't listening to their name. You are internally narrating your own performance. Is my eye contact too intense? Did I blink? Is this handshake too firm? Does my breath smell like the coffee I had 20 minutes ago? This is the next in-line effect. Because you are preparing your own social script, the input from the external world is bulldozed by your own internal monologue. For the childhood architect, this is a survival trait. You learned early on that stability depends on you reading the room perfectly. You are so busy checking the perimeter for a crisis that you don't have the bandwidth to file the guest list. You aren't absent. You are just half a step into the future, trying to ensure the interaction remains safe. If this is you, hear the reframe. You don't have a memory problem. You have a priority protocol. You are scanning for the signal, and the name is almost always noise. The architecture of association. The emotional sting of being forgotten is real. For the person on the other end, it feels like a pointed message. You didn't matter enough to stick, but that is a glitch in their own logic. The data shows that the person who forgot your name likely remembers the exact way your voice shook when you talked about your passions. They remember the specific odd take you had on the news. They remember the texture of you. They just weren't there for the label. Memory is not a recording. It is not a hard drive where files are stored in neat rows. It is a prioritized fragmenting of reality. High emotion? Stored. Surprising data? Stored. Information that helps you survive the next 10 minutes? Stored. One arbitrary sound handed to you while you were trying to act normal in a room full of strangers? Deleted. Purged by the system to save energy for things that actually matter. People who forget names are often associative thinkers. Their minds are built for storytelling and deep emotional attunement. They are the ones who can tell you what you wore to a party 3 years ago, or the exact facial expression you made when you were hurt. But ask them the name of the person standing right next to them? Blank. This isn't a flaw in the mind. It is a particular architecture. It is an engine built for depth, not for clerical filing. You are a conductor, not a secretary. Protocol 05, the bridge construction. This doesn't mean you shouldn't try. It is still a useful social tool to hold a name, but stop the shame spot. Stop believing that your bad memory makes you an uncaring person. You are not dismissive. You are someone whose brain refuses to prioritize the least interesting thing about a human being, the arbitrary sound their parents gave them before they had ever done a single thing worth remembering. A name is a label on a crate. Most people look at the label. The architect looks at what's inside. The name was always the least of it. What you remember, the real stuff. The fragments, the impressions, the signal. That is what actually matters. That is what remains when the labels fall away and the social theater ends. If this protocol decoded your social glitches, leave your mark. Subscribe to Rise Theory or keep wandering through the fog. The choice is yours. We're done here.